What's up, jammies? Welcome back to another episode of Ricky's Ram Jam, presented as always by Barefoot Wine. What a fun 28-22 win over the Patriots this past weekend. Yes, I got to go home. It was an amazing weekend home. I got to see my brother and sister-in-law for their gender reveal, so they're expecting. So it was a Saturday filled with love, and then it was a Sunday Rams-Patriots football game. I was really excited, actually, to watch the Rams win in Gillette. It was really fun. The atmosphere was amazing. I was with all my friends and family who are all Patriots fans. My family was wearing Rams gear, just so you know that they're supportive, right? And we're in this tailgating lot, and there's sausages cooking, and Patriots, you know, Patriots Place, Gillette, is known for every parking lot tailgate is out of control. So there's all these Patriots fans grilling. I'm in my Rams gear, but we're having a bunch of fun. In the middle of this tailgate were a few kids with Cooper Kupp jerseys playing catch, so it was super fun to watch. The atmosphere was great. It was so much fun. And now the Eagles come to town, and it's Sunday Night Football under the lights at SoFi Stadium. Joining me in a minute is Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus. We're gonna look back at the Patriots game and some PFF grades, and also the Eagles coming to town. But first, it's time for the coin toss. So we almost had it last week. I was like, let's get a Matthew Stafford QB sneak for in the end zone, and we did get that, but not in the end zone, but still 4 touchdowns for Matthew Stafford. So, you know, we'll let it slide this time. So how about this week? Option 1, Cooper Kupp and Puka both got in the end zone last weekend. Let's do that again. Let's get a Puka Nacua touchdown and a Cooper Kupp touchdown. So that's option 1. Option 2, we've had strip sacks in the last 2 games. How about a third? How about a Jalen Hurts strip sack? So option 1 or option 2? Let me know below what you think it's going to be, option 1 or option 2. Joining me now is Trevor Sikkema, the lead NFL draft analyst for PFF. And then I recently saw you tweeted you're going to be diving in way more into the NFL as well this year than you normally are.
Yes. So obviously I pay a heavy attention to the NFL, but had some really cool opportunities for some new shows that we're doing over at Pro Football Focus. So ton of NFL draft stuff, ton of NFL stuff. Busy schedule during the season, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you are all over the place. I saw you were doing something during halftime last night for Monday Night Football. Trevor, when do you sleep?
That's a great question. To quote rappers, sleep is the cousin of death, if you will. Yep. So that's kind of my motto at this point throughout the season. But we find some time here and there because, self-health is important. So we do try to get at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep every night, but don't always guarantee that on Mondays and Tuesdays. So we try to make up for it on the back end.
Totally. Okay, so this may be hard, but how do you sum up, what PFF is or does, or when someone asks you, like, what is Pro Football Focus?
Sure. So, when I talk about what Pro Football Focus is, essentially, it is this data company that it's the collection and the organization of data that makes what PFF does so powerful. There's just so many incredible people who are a part of our grading process and our data collection process who honestly make watching football, I don't want to say easier, but just, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it just enhances so much of how you study the game. If you're watching a team and you have this hunch, you go, man, you know what? I feel like this team doesn't blitz a lot, but I don't feel like they have to blitz a lot. We can immediately go into our database and see, okay, this is actually how often a team has a 4-man front as opposed to a 5 or 6 man coming on the blitz. And we could also see how successful they are at that. And on the flip side of things, if it were to be a situation where it's like, man, I feel like this team loves to rush 4 a lot, but they just don't get home, we get to, again, dive into the data and very clearly be able to figure that out. So it's something that PFF has become so integrated into so much of what the NFL does. We have partners with all 32 NFL teams and, coaches, general managers, everything. They can use all that data for whatever they want. And for us on the content side of things, it helps us understand and cover the entire league at a much higher level than we would be able to do just on our own. And so to me, it just enhances so much of all of the questions and all of the things and the answers that I might want to find out about the game after watching it live. I go to PFF to figure out. So it is just truly an enhancement of how you watch and understand the game because of the incredible hundreds of data collectors that do incredible work to make PFF possible.
Yeah, I mean, all the PFF grades are integral in my study of the Rams and the NFL as a whole. So it's really cool to have you on. So thank you so much. During your Rams Patriots preview, your matchup that matters was the Patriots D versus the Rams O line. The Rams O line kept Stafford clean the entire game on Sunday. How impressed were you with that bounce back performance?
Very. And it's exactly what you said. It was a bounce back performance for them because, this was they've gone through their injuries, right, on the offensive line throughout the season. This was one of the ones where, man, like 2 weeks into the season, all the injuries that the Rams were having to deal with, whether it was to their skill position players, but particularly to the offensive line, you went, is this just going to be like a waste of a year now? Or are we just going to sit here and say, what if? And now we don't really have to, right? This is still a team that is in contention. And now you get these offensive linemen back. And last week, it felt like you were getting a lot of those guys back for the first time. So maybe not quite the regularly scheduled offensive line, but most of it was going to be out there. And we were very excited about that. And then they kind of struggled as a group. And we got, oh, no, okay, well, it's going to take a little bit of time. But it didn't take too long. They were able to bounce back in a really solid way. I thought they played very, very well in, like what you said, just a bounce back performance for this team, which is going to be very important for them. Obviously, you're getting the skill position guys back. Everybody likes to talk about the wide receivers and Matthew Stafford and what Kyron does out of the backfield and all that good stuff. And that is obviously important. But how they hold up front, that is going to be a major part of who ends up winning this division, whether they're in a wild card race at the end, and just getting those healthy body backs is really, really important. So for them to kind of have that accelerated chemistry back with one another, I think was really important because, again, struggling in the game 2 weeks ago, that was you were a little worried. You're right. You were worried. It's like, okay, is this going to take like 3, 4, 5 weeks for them to figure it out? And then at that point, are we going to be sitting here saying, man, nobody would have wanted to play the Rams if they got into the playoffs, but they just didn't have enough wins? Now I'm hoping that we don't have to say that when the season's all said and done.
Yeah, the Rams O-line didn't allow a sack against the Patriots and allowed just 3 pressures all game, which the week before the Patriots had sacked the Bears 9 times. So it was a really exciting sort of come together. Let's, everyone loves to talk about the position and the skill position. So let's do that. Puka Nacua had the highest grade of his career at 92.6, 7 catches for 123 yards and a touchdown. Take me behind the science and tell my jammies here how Puka grades out to a career high.
It's just the efficiency, right? I mean, at PFF, the slogan is every player, every play, every game. And so that's what we're doing. We're watching every single play, and we go beyond the statistics. So beyond not just the catches, but also beyond the targets. What are you doing when you are not targeted? Are you still creating that separation? Are you doing your job? Are you correctly in the progression, creating that space when you're supposed to? Because I think people don't realize that, so much of play calling and play design specifically, I should say, is about guys getting open at certain times, right? It's not like, okay, everybody's going to be open all at once. The NFL is really good. These guys are really good at covering them. These defensive coordinators, they're really good at taking those things away. So you kind of have to have these layers in there of, okay, this guy kind of comes open at this time. For Puka Nacua to be able to grade at an elite level, it's not just the production. Obviously, the production that he has with the catches and targets and yards after catch and the touchdowns, all that stuff, that helps his grade. Of course it does. And I think there's people sometimes look at like, PFF, they grade every single game on like a level playing field. And no, it's not quite that. The higher impactful plays matter more. We give those more weight into your grade and your performance. So it's not like all of them are just like baseline 0 and like, oh, okay, he had a catch. That's in the good category. Oh, okay, he had a drop. That's simply in the bad category or whatever. There's levels to how we give good grades and bad grades. We try to make it as contextual as possible. And so for Puka to have an elite grade, it means that he is doing what he is supposed to be doing successfully on a regular basis, even beyond just the catches and the targets and everything. So that is how we come up with that grade and why he's able to score as highly as he does.
So he didn't get extra points for that Jordan-like layout catch that was in the end zone. I mean, that should have added just a bunch.
No, he did. He did get the extra points for that. That's what I'm trying to say. That was just such an incredible play. And again, we have this system where, if it's just a good play, if it's a positive play, you can give it sort of just a marginally good play. But when you do something like that, when you hit that route to perfection, and you create that throwing window and you lay all the way out to catch that touchdown in the end zone, like that is okay, you individually made that play happen at the very end, and you get a little bit of extra bonus points for that. So you do.
He was fully horizontal. Like, I don't even think my body does that standing up straight. My posture is that bad. I mean, I was at Gillette watching this game, watching that happen, and just everyone, and the air was taken out of Gillette Stadium because everyone was just like, how is that possible? So like, hang that photo of him in the air in the Louvre because that was gorgeous. Puka and Cooper are both in the lineup. This offense can be so dynamic. I mean, both of them went for 100 yards in the same game. How can that continue to go forward and will work against a team like the Eagles?
No, I mean, it's going to happen moving forward because this is what this team wants to do. I think when people think about, wide receiver duos in the NFL, I think that people think about, okay, like what the Cincinnati Bengals have with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Some people think about the Philadelphia Eagles, right, with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. But when you look at what the Rams are doing, their offense is truly run through those two wide receivers. This past week, and it's not always to this extent, but we have a data point or a statistic in PFF's ultimate account where we call it threat is the name of this category. And essentially it's wide receiver usage. How often are you getting targeted per route that you are running, which shows how much you are emphasized in the passing offense. When you look at averages, just to give people a good number, the top wide receivers in the NFL, the wide receiver ones, if you will, normally anywhere from like the low 20s to the high 20%. Sometimes with guys like Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, you'll get like, low 30% for single games. Sometimes you can get like high 30%, low 40%. This past game that they played, both Nacua and Cooper Kupp had threat percentages above 40%.
Wow.
They accounted for 88.5% of the wide receiver usage number that the Rams had in the passing game. So it is very clear that not only do they love these guys, they say, you can't stop them. We know that we're throwing to these players, and there's nothing you could do about it. Now, it's a really, really fun matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming week because they have a veteran in Darius Slay. They have a rookie in Quinyon Mitchell who's playing at a very high level despite being a rookie corner, which is very tough to play that outside cornerback position as a rookie and play it as well and as consistently as Quinyon Mitchell has. And now, over the last few weeks, the development of Cooper DeJean now playing in the slot, another rookie corner who is playing at a very high level. So they have now the defensive backs on the outside to match up with them and really take away what the Rams like to do, which is say, you don't have the personnel to match up against both of these guys. They're too smart. They're too good at what they do. They know how to get open. The Eagles do match up pretty well against them. And so this is going to be a dogfight between the cornerback group for the Philadelphia Eagles and these two wide receivers because these two guys, it's tough to find a smarter, higher IQ wide receiver duo than what the Rams have. But man, the Eagles are playing so well in their secondary. So it's going to be a great matchup to watch.
Yeah, really excited. We talk, you kind of talk about a defensive rookie, and I want to get into Jared Verse and Braden Fiske in a second. But it also helps when you have Matthew Stafford, who's continuing to amaze at age 36, his second 4-touchdown performance in the last 4 games. I mean, when you have a guy like Matthew Stafford throwing to these exceptional wide receivers and then, opening up the run game with Kyron and everything, like, I love that you said it's going to be a dogfight, and I'm really excited for this primetime Sunday night football matchup. So I would love your thoughts on Jared Verse, who's been, a standout for our defense in general, but also as a rookie. He leads all rookies with 48 pressures, and then Braden Fiske, his running mate from FSU, jumps off the board. I mean, are you at all surprised how these two have acclimated to the NFL?
No, honestly. And look, I think that's kind of unfair to not say that, like, you're not surprised. Like, Verse is having an unbelievable season. I love Jared Verse. He was a top 20 player for me. He's one of my favorite players in this draft class. Shoot, I felt like he would have been a top 10 pick if he would have came out of the draft in the previous class. So he's just been that good for the last couple of years while he has been at Florida State. So the reason why I'm not surprised at how Jared Verse is playing is because he displayed a NFL level power profile while he was at FSU. And I think that's often an area of trench play that these guys going from college to the NFL just aren't used to how strong these NFL offensive linemen are. And often you get these speed guys who are coming from the college level who go, all right, well, I'm just going to hit you with a little two-handed swipe. I'm going to hit you with a little cross chop. I'm going to, like whatever it is. And I'm just going to get to the outside, maybe give you a ghost move or give you a dip rip, whatever it is. And then the second that an NFL offensive tackle just goes whoop and shoves them
Nope.
3 yards back, they go, wait a second. You're not supposed to be able to do that. What was that level of power? That was crazy. And so with Verse, I never worried about that because he displayed NFL levels of power while he was at Florida State. Now, to say that I expected him to have 48 pressures already and be the absolute terror that he is off of the edge, I can't say that because I don't want to say that because I want to give him credit for how well he is playing above expectation, even though the expectations were high. If he hadn't missed so many tackles, he might have double-digit sacks already. That's how good of a year we're talking about for Jared Verse. So it's awesome to see from him. I was a big fan of Braden Fiske. Really didn't get to know much about him and his tape until he got to the Senior Bowl, and I started watching more of his Florida State stuff and then going back throughout the earlier parts of his college career. And man, he became this nightmare at every single spot. At Western Michigan, he was like that. At Florida State, he became almost unblockable at the end of the season. And then when he was at the Senior Bowl, you give it a couple of practices, a couple of days, and man, day 2, day 3, this dude was all over the field. And Jim Nagy likes to point this out. He's the first player that they've had in Senior Bowl history where the other team, by the end of the week, because of injuries and some of the guys dropping out, they didn't have enough defensive linemen to play. So he went to Braden Fiske and he was like, hey, I know you haven't practiced with this other team at all whatsoever this week. Would you switch teams for the game? And Fiske was like, sure. Yeah, why not? Goes out there, plays well during the game. And it's just the type of competitor he is. He obviously goes up and blows up the combine when he was at Indianapolis. The Rams trade a good amount of draft capital to go up and get him, but it's very clear that this is a defensive line duo that they're very clear building around. And it's not just them either. Kobe Turner's having a great season. Byron Young is coming along at the other edge rush spot. Bobby Brown's been fantastic as a run defender, as has Tyler Davis, their 6th round pick out of Clemson. So this is one of the better young defensive lines in the NFL. This might be the youngest defensive line in the NFL in terms of their starter and rotational pieces that they have in there. And they are absolutely an exciting group that's playing well already here at younger ages.
Trevor, you have me so pumped up because we're talking about all these guys on the Rams that are just exceptional. And so now the Eagles come to town for Sunday Night Football, winners of 6 straight. I mean, you have Jalen Hurts, who leads all quarterbacks with 10 rushing touchdowns this season. You have Saquon Barkley, who is a gymnast / levitating monster. I mean, but when we talk about this young just defense and all that they're doing to step up with this Rams offense, like, how does Philadelphia game plan for this Rams defense? And we're going to have a great game.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a fun one. I think the matchup that matters, if you will, if I'm giving you one early before the PFF preview this week, is the Rams corners against the Eagles wide receivers. Like, that is the big time matchup because the Eagles offensive line, it's one of the best in the NFL, right? Especially when Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata are healthy. Their interior offensive line is great as well. But I think the Rams are not going to back down from that challenge on the defensive line. So I think that's going to be a fun battle there. The safety group, how Cam Kinchis is playing, how Cam Curl is playing, like, those guys are going to be able to play. I think certainly the tight ends very well. They're going to be able to help out against Saquon Barkley, although you can't totally stop Saquon Barkley.
Right.
You might be able to slow him down a little bit. But the big issue is, can you stop the shot plays? Because right now, Philadelphia's offense it's the Saquon Barkley offense. Everything they do revolves around Saquon Barkley being one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the NFL this season. And they complement that in 2 different ways. One, when they get in 3rd or 4th and short situations, whether it's at the goal line or whether it's just down in distance of a regular 3rd or 4th down, they're very comfortable with the tush push, right? With Jalen Hurts picking up at least 2 yards every single time they do that, it feels like a cheat code. So anytime they get themselves into 3rd and 3 or less, you almost feel like they're going to convert that down. So that's a compliment to what Saquon is for them in the early downs. And then when you get to the pass game, it's a lot of shot play stuff. It's a lot of single cover. If you single cover A.J. Brown, they are not afraid at all to throw the ball 40, 50 yards down the field to give him a chance because he's one of the best in the NFL at going up and converting those single coverage opportunities deep down the field. So it's a shot play passing game paired with a mainly strong rushing attack for this team. And if the Rams can limit those shot plays to maybe only 1 or 2 big catches instead of 3, 4, 5, that's how I think that you could really get yourself ahead on the scoreboard when it's all said and done.
I love it. So total PFF grade for this episode?
Am I giving this one, or are you giving me a PFF grade for this one? You should
give it. You're the expert.
Well, I think we covered everything here. I think, you did a wonderful job introing as the host, so I think we got to go an elite grade. This is a 98.5 grade. You got to give yourself a little bit of room to get better because you got to stay motivated, but I'll give it a 98.5.
Wow. Elite is I'm honored, and I'm looking forward to seeing, the PFF main account tweet this out later about, just the elite shows. So I appreciate it. Trevor, before I let you go here, it's time for the Ram Jam, where I ask my guests the same 3 questions, rapid fire style, every show. So describe your perfect day, start to finish. Like, what are the main things that makes a Trevor day?
Okay. I have 2 separate answers. One's a real answer and the other one's like a guilty pleasure answer. Gotcha. The one real answer is we had the opportunity, my fiance and I had the opportunity to go to Hawaii this summer. And the real answer is basically just any day with my fiance in Hawaii. You wake up whenever you want, you go get breakfast, and then it's just beach. You're at the beach the whole day, the beautiful water, the beautiful weather. Then you're going out to eat. You're enjoying some drinks with the Hawaii sunset with the islands in the background. That is my ideal day. My guilty pleasure day, though, just got to let you know, we just bought a house not long ago.
Congrats.
And on Saturdays, thank you. On Saturdays during the season, I love waking up, not setting an alarm, waking up, taking my dog to the dog park, bringing the dog, tiring him out a little bit. And then when college football kicks off at noon, I'm in the garage. I'm rearranging. I'm changing stuff. Just like a Saturday by myself in the garage, getting work done. That's kind of like my guilty pleasure day right now during the season.
I love that. I'm probably going to lean more towards Hawaii for me, but
that's fine. That's fine. Then my garage. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Which celebrity would you like to switch lives for one day, and why?
Okay, this is the first 2 people that I thought of with this question. John Cena or Luke Combs. All right. And I'll very quickly break down why.
Yeah, different John sides Cena of the spectrum there.
A little bit, but it's sort of the same thing. It's sort of the same theme here. For John Cena, I think it is one, he has the ability to impact so many people's lives with just joy. I mean, when that guy walks in a room, people smile, they freak out. He brings so many people joy just by doing the things that he does during the day. And so to be that kind of person where you walk in a room and you make a kid's day or something like that, just the little things you do where you bring people joy, that would be really cool. And then of course, when your theme music goes off and a whole stadium erupts and you walk out on stage and it just goes crazy. That's also the Luke Combs thing, because we went and saw a Luke Combs concert not too long ago, and it was 2.5 hours of every single person in this stadium of 40, 50,000 people knowing every single word to every single song. And the feeling that you would get, it's like a Taylor Swift thing too, any big artist being on stage and singing with 50,000 people your own song, that's got to be an experience unlike any other. So those are the 2 that I thought of that I would switch places for.
I love that. Lastly, iced coffee on a snowy day or hot coffee in a heat wave?
Iced coffee on a cold day. I am an iced coffee guy. I used to not be an iced coffee guy, but my fiance has converted me over to iced coffee at all times, no matter the weather over everything. So iced coffee on a cold day.
I love it. Trevor, thank you so much for your time today. And everybody, make sure you go follow him on Twitter and wherever you get your podcast, because I know you're posting shows and content daily. He's over at PFF. He is everywhere. So Trevor, thank you so much for hanging out today.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
There he goes. I am feeling so excited for this Sunday night football game. That does it for this week's Ricky's Ram Jam. The Rams have won 4 out of the last 5 games. And now, like I said, it's SoFi under the lights. I can't wait to see you all there. Jammies, you know what to do. Let's ram it.